At the beginning of 2003, George Bush enjoyed overwhelming domestic support, but he also knew he had a problem. His administration was preparing to invade Iraq, but of the 192 countries then recognized by the UN, he could only find 4 others willing to take part.
If war is forced upon us, we will fight in a just cause and by just means, sparing in every way we can the innocent.
Intense diplomatic and economic pressure from the White House wasn't working, and while other nations said they were willing to send forces after the initial invasion, only the United Kingdom, Australia, Denmark and Poland were willing to commit troops from the start. The rest of the world seemed determined to let weapons inspections continue, a policy the White House had grown weary of.
Cheney was highly critical of inspections, and I think on one occasion he said that inspectors are useless at best. And he wanted the US to go ahead with an invasion and not having the complication. He saw that inspections could be complications. Suppose these guys come up and say there is nothing. That would be a complication for the United States.
So the diplomatic compromise concocted by the White House was the coalition of the willing. And on the surface, it sounded impressive. However, certain discrepancies were quickly noted. For example, the European nations included on the list were there because their main contribution to the coalition was simply to let British and American aircraft fly over them. But that was a far greater contribution than most of the rest of the countries, particularly those in Central and South America who couldn't even provide airspace. They were included simply because they'd spoken out against Saddam, which explains the presence in this coalition of devastated war-torn countries like Afghanistan and Eritrea, which obviously had very little to contribute. So why announce this coalition and not just wait until UN Resolution 1441, which called for further inspections, resolved the WMD question once and for all?
We had a mandate from the Security Council. We didn't have a mandate from the United States or from the UK. It was the whole Security Council. We were international civil servants. We were asked to verify with professionalism whether there were any weapons of mass destruction.
So given the scrutiny the list was generating even as the war began, why did the White House announce it at all? The answer, say critics, lies in mathematics. Not only were no Arab countries participating, but of those that were, Australia, Denmark and Poland, they combined to only send 2,500 troops. The British and Americans, by contrast, were sending in 165,000. Therefore, the contributions of the other nations taking part added up to less than 2% of the invasion force. And here, near the CENTCOM headquarters, where the war was mapped and carried out, those numbers weren't helpful. And that led to the heart of George Bush's problem. Unless his administration could think of an alternative, this war could be seen as an Anglo-American invasion of an oil-rich Arab state, especially if things went wrong and an invasion turned into an occupation. And so the coalition of the willing was born. Owen Fay, Al Jazeera, Doha.